Book 3, Chapter 18. It wanted several minutes of midnight, and Glyndon repaired to the appointed spot. The mysterious empire which Zanoni had acquired over him was still more solemnly confirmed by the events of the last few hours. The sudden fate of the prince, so deliberately foreshadowed, and yet so seemingly accidental, brought out by causes the most commonplace, and yet associated with words the most prophetic, impressed him with the deepest sentiments of admiration and awe. It was as if this dark and wondrous being could convert the most ordinary events and the meanest instruments into the agencies of his inscrutable will. Yet, if so, why have permitted the capture of Viola? Why not have prevented the crime rather than punish the criminal? And did Zanoni really feel love for Viola? Love, and yet offer to resign her to himself, to a rival whom his arts could not have failed to baffle. He no longer reverted to the belief that Zanoni or Viola had sought to dupe him into marriage. His fear and reverence for the former now forbade the notion of so poor an imposture. Did he any longer love Viola himself? No. When that morning he had heard of her danger, he had, it is true, returned to the sympathies and the fears of affection. But with the death of the prince, her image faded from his heart, and he felt no jealous pang at the thought that she had been saved by Zanoni, that at that moment she was perhaps beneath his roof. Whoever has, in the course of his life, indulged the absorbing passion of the gamester will remember how all other pursuits and objects vanished from his mind, how solely he was wrapped in the one wild delusion. With what a scepter of magic power the despot demon ruled every feeling and every thought. Far more intense than the passion of the gamester was the frantic yet sublime desire that mastered the breast of Glyndon. He would be the rival of Zanoni, not in human imperishable affections, but in preternatural and eternal lore. He would have laid down life with content, nay, rapture, as the price of learning those solemn secrets which separated the stranger from mankind. Enamored of the goddess of goddesses, he stretched forth his arms, the wild Ixion, and embraced a cloud. The night was most lovely and serene, and the waves scarcely rippled at his feet as the Englishman glided on by the cool and starry beach. At length he arrived at the spot, and there, leaning against the broken pillar, he beheld a man wrapped in a long mantle, and in an attitude of profound repose. He approached and uttered the name of Zanoni. The figure turned, and he saw the face of a stranger, a face not stamped by the glorious beauty of Zanoni, but equally majestic in its aspect, and perhaps still more impressive from the mature age and the passionless depth of thought that characterized the expanded forehead and deep-set but piercing eyes.
"You seek Zanoni," said the stranger. "He will be here anon, but perhaps he whom you see before you is more connected with your destiny, and more disposed to realize your dreams."
"Hath the earth, then, another Zanoni?"
"If not," replied the stranger, "why do you cherish the hope and the wild faith to be yourself a Zanoni? Think you that none others have burned with the same godlike dream? Who, indeed, in his first youth when the soul is nearer to the heaven from which it sprang, and its divine and primal longings are not all effaced by the sordid passions and petty cares that are begot in time, who is there in youth that has not nourished the belief that the universe has secrets not known to the common herd, and panted as the hart for the water springs, for the fountains that lie hid and far away amidst the broad wilderness of trackless science? The music of the fountain is heard in the soul within, till the steps, deceived and erring, rove away from its waters,
and the wanderer dies in the mighty desert. Think you that none who have cherished the hope have found the truth, or that the yearning after the ineffable knowledge was given to us utterly in vain? No, every desire in human hearts is but a glimpse of things that exist, alike distant and divine. No, in the world there have been from age to age some brighter and happier spirits who have attained to the air in which the beings above mankind move and breathe. Zanoni, great though he be, stands not alone. He has had his predecessors, and a long line of successors may be yet to come.
And will you tell me, said Glyndon, that in yourself I behold one of that mighty few over whom Zanoni has no superiority in power and wisdom?
In me, answered the stranger, you see one from whom Zanoni himself learned some of his loftiest secrets. On these shores, on this spot, have I stood in ages that your chroniclers but feebly reach. The Phoenician, the Greek, the Oscan, the Roman, the Lombard, I have seen them all, leaves gay and glittering on the trunk of the universal life, scattered in due season and again renewed, till indeed the same race that gave its glory to the ancient world bestowed a second youth upon the new. For the pure Greeks, the Hellenes, whose origin has bewildered your dreaming scholars, were of the same great family as the Norman tribe, born to be the lords of the universe, and in no land on earth destined to become the hewers of wood. Even the dim traditions of the learned, which bring the son of Hellas from the vast and undetermined territories of northern Thrace, to be the victors of the pastoral Pelasgi, and the founders of the line of demigods, which assign to a population bronzed beneath the suns of the west, the blue-eyed Minerva and the yellow-haired Achilles, physical characteristics of the north, which introduce amongst a pastoral people warlike aristocracies and limited monarchies, the feudalism of the classic time. Even these might serve you to trace back the primeval settlements of the Hellenes to the same region whence, in later times, the Norman warriors broke on the dull and savage hordes of the Celt, and became the Greeks of the Christian world. But this interests you not, and you are wise in your indifference, not in the knowledge of things without, but in the perfection of the soul within, lies the empire of man, aspiring to be more than man.
And what books contain that science? From what laboratory is it wrought?
Nature supplies the materials. They are around you in your daily walks, in the herbs that the beast devours and the chemist disdains to cull, in the elements from which matter in its meanest and its mightiest shapes is deduced, in the wide bosom of the air, in the black abysses of the earth. Everywhere are given to mortals the resources and libraries of immortal lore. But as the simplest problems in the simplest of all studies are obscure to one who braces not his mind to their comprehension, as the rower in yonder vessel cannot tell you why two circles can touch each other only in one point, so, though all earth were carved over and inscribed with the letters of diviner knowledge, the characters would be valueless to him who does not pause to inquire the language and meditate the truth. Young man, if thy imagination is vivid, if thy heart is daring, if thy curiosity is insatiate, I will accept thee as my pupil, but the first lessons are stern and dread.
If thou hast mastered them, why not I? Answered Glyndon boldly. I have felt from my boyhood that strange mysteries were reserved for my career, and from the proudest ends of ordinary ambition
I have carried my gaze into the cloud and darkness that stretched beyond. The instant I beheld Zanoni, I felt as if I had discovered the guide and the tutor for which my youth had idly languished and vainly burned.
"And to me his duty is transferred,"
replied the stranger.
"Yonder lies, anchored in the bay, the vessel in which Zanoni seeks a fairer home. A little while, and the breeze will rise, the sail will swell, and the stranger will have passed, like a wind, away. Still, like the wind, he leaves in thy heart the seeds that may bear the blossom and the fruit. Zanoni hath performed his task. He is wanted no more. The perfecter of his work is at thy side. He comes. I hear the dash of the oar. You will have your choice submitted to you. According as you decide, we shall meet again."
With these words, the stranger moved slowly away, and disappeared beneath the shadow of the cliffs. A boat glided rapidly across the waters. It touched land. A man leaped on shore, and Glyndon recognized Zanoni.
"I give thee, Glyndon,
I give thee no more the option of happy love and serene enjoyment.
that hour is past, and fate has linked the hand that might have been thine own to mine. But I have ample gifts to bestow upon thee,
if thou wilt abandon the hope that gnaws thy heart, and the realization of which even I have not the power to foresee. Be thine ambition human, and I can gratify it to the full. Men desire 4 things in life: love, wealth, fame, power. The first I cannot give thee. The rest are at my disposal. Select which of them thou wilt, and let us part in peace." "Such are not the gifts I covet. I choose knowledge. That knowledge must be thine own. For this, and for this alone, I surrendered the love of Viola, and this alone must be my recompense."
"I cannot gainsay thee, though I can warn. The desire to learn does not always contain the faculty to acquire. I can give thee, it is true, the teacher. The rest must depend on thee. Be wise in time, and take that which I can assure to thee."
"Answer me but these questions, and according to your answer I will decide. Is it in the power of man to attain intercourse with the beings of other worlds? Is it in the power of man to influence the elements, and to ensure life against the sword and against disease?"
"All this may be possible,"
answered Zanoni evasively,
"to the few. But for one who attains such secrets, millions may perish in the attempt."
"One question more. Thou—"
"Beware. Of myself, as I have said before, I render no account."
"Well, then, the stranger I have met this night, are his boasts to be believed? Is he in truth one of the chosen seers whom you allow to have mastered the mysteries I yearn to fathom?"
"Rash man," said Zanoni, in a tone of compassion, "thy crisis is past, and thy choice made. I can only bid thee be bold and prosper. Yes, I resign thee to a master who has the power and the will to open to thee the gates of an awful world. Thy weal or woe are as naught in the eyes of his relentless wisdom. I would bid him spare thee, but he will heed me not. Mejnour, receive thy pupil."
Glyndon turned, and his heart beat when he perceived that the stranger, whose footsteps he had not heard upon the pebbles, whose approach he had not beheld in the moonlight, was once more by his side.
"Farewell," resumed Zanoni. "Thy trial commences. When we meet next, thou wilt be the victim or the victor."
Glyndon's eyes followed the receding form of the mysterious stranger. He saw him enter the boat, and he then, for the first time, noticed that besides the rower there was a female, who stood up as Zanoni gained the boat. Even at the distance he recognized the once adored form of Viola. She waved her hand to him, and across the still and shining air came her voice, mournfully and sweetly in her mother's tongue. "Farewell, Clarence, I forgive thee. Farewell, farewell." He strove to answer, but the voice touched a chord at his heart, and the words failed him. Viola was then lost forever, gone with this dread stranger. Darkness was round her lot, and he himself had decided her fate, and his own. The boat bounded on, the soft waves flashed and sparkled beneath the oars, and it was along one sapphire track of moonlight that the frail vessel bore away the lovers. Farther and farther from his gaze sped the boat, till at last the speck, scarcely visible, touched the side of the ship that lay lifeless in the glorious bay. At that instant, as if by magic, up sprang, with a glad murmur, the playful and freshening wind, and Glyndon turned to Mejnour and broke the silence. "Tell me, if thou canst read the future, tell me that her lot will be fair, and that her choice, at least, is wise."
"My pupil,"
answered Mejnour, in a voice the calmness of which well accorded with the chilling words,
"thy first task must be to withdraw all thought, feeling, sympathy from others. The elementary stage of knowledge is to make self, and self alone, thy study and thy world. Thou hast decided thine own career. Thou hast renounced love. Thou hast rejected wealth, fame, and the vulgar pomps of power. What, then, are all mankind to thee? To perfect thy faculties and concentrate thy emotions is henceforth thy only aim."
"And will happiness be the end?"
"If happiness exists," answered
Mejnour,
"it must be centered in a self to which all passion is unknown. But happiness is the last state of being, and as yet thou art on the threshold of the first."
As Mejnour spoke, the distant vessel spread its sails to the wind, and moved slowly along the deep. Glyndon sighed, and the pupil and the master retraced their steps towards the city.